Hi, I'm your host, Mr. U. Please enjoy this brief perspective specifically for your ears today. A few minutes of your time just might change your mind. We're keeping it all the way short. October means everything. October is a big deal to me for a couple of reasons. One, because it's my birthday month. But as a fan of the sport of baseball, I recognize the impact of October. Let me try to explain this a little bit better. Now, I know that every baseball player strives to be relevant in October more than any other time in the baseball season. Not opening day, not the midpoint of the season, but October. It's where you find out if the entire season was a success or a bust. Baseball was a big deal in my neck of the woods back in Brooklyn. It's often hard to understand why. Such a big city, a huge metropolis. It was easier to find a basketball court than it was to locate a baseball field. I had to walk a lot of miles to find a baseball field growing up. But there are some cultural reasons why baseball was viewed in some circles as the city's third favorite sport. As a matter of fact, I think it's the third favorite sport nationally behind the NFL and the NBA, with soccer coming up fourth. But to me, baseball was my first sports love. It's the sport that I watched when I didn't know what I was watching. In 1975, 1976. As a matter of fact, and maybe even a little bit earlier than that. I was watching baseball before I became a Giants fan, before I began to follow the Michigan Wolverines, before I began to follow the New York Knicks. I was watching the New York Yankees. I was watching the New York Mets. I was watching baseball. It was indeed my first sports love. I mourned it like a dearly departed relative during the months of November and March. I couldn't wait to get back home from school to see spring training in the month of March. I couldn't wait for opening day. I thought it should have been a national holiday. That's where I was at. I thought it was that important. But baseball has fallen to the third most popular sport in the world. I understand why it wasn't insanely popular in the inner city where I came from. But the sport is insanely popular in Latin American countries for a very good reason. A Little League World Series, World Baseball, I'm blanking out, the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, yeah. A minor league contract, a major league call-up. It could mean impoverished families in Latin American countries get to eat. Baseball is a billion-dollar business. But for me, it was just about sports. See people who look like me pitching and hitting and making a name for themselves, making the city proud. With a childhood like mine's coming up, baseball represented the truth that someone living where I lived can achieve something great. Not just with talent and skill and ability, but with training, with discipline, and with camaraderie and community. Baseball galvanized a lot of my friends and I growing up. We saw a bigger picture outside of our little world in the ghetto. Sports wasn't the only route to get to a successful life. I'm not saying that. It definitely represented the low-hanging fruit for us. Because in those times, we didn't have a lot. We didn't have great prospects to go to Harvard and Yale and Columbia. Little kids in my neighborhood played basketball. Even now, where I live now, they play in the cul-de-sacs, imagining themselves making the basketball team in school, and one day, going to the NBA. People ranted and raved about the evil empire, which was the New York Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, as they were known back then. About how they always went to the championship. They had 27 world championships. But it was symbolic in that time, in that city, to take what you had and go all out to win. The complainers or the people who were against that mentality were usually average thinkers. They had a team maybe on the other side of New York that weren't winning as much. And that dispute and little tiff between them went on for decades. But the city that I grew up in was built on grit and determination to do what needs to be done. That team, that franchise was born from that mindset. Everything was about getting to October. Can you recall that train ride to your first baseball game, what that was like? Did your dad let you stay home from school so you can go to opening day and see your favorite team play? Can you still remember the smell of the grass, the cool breeze, the sound of the ball off of the bat as it sailed 485 feet into the stands? Is the roar of the crowd still fresh in your mind? There's really no tangible reason I have to explain why I love baseball so much. It was slow, took 3.5 hours to complete. Very few baseball fields in my hometown, so practicing was nearly impossible. No one I knew or who looked like me even played baseball or liked it as much as I did. Seeing familiar faces standing on the mound and in the batter's box kept my dream alive. What's your favorite baseball story? When's the first time you knew you were in love with baseball? I want to hear that on our social media platforms. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and of course the Twitter machine. I want to hear your thoughts about what made you fall in love with baseball. What's your best baseball memory? How can you not love the American pastime? The great American pastime. We're keeping it all the way short. Coach out.